It doesn't matter what your dreams and hopes and ambitions are. It doesn't matter if you have a new boyfriend or a new girlfriend or you've got plans for the future. You can forget those plans because you're going to wind up dead.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of Decayed Tapes. I am Max, the Annihilator Booth. I am joined with my co-host,
Max, the Annihilator Boost. Yeah, I didn't drink any coffee. This is Miguel Myers. Wow.
You just said I didn't drink any coffee. You don't drink coffee. What are you talking about?
I know. I was looking for an excuse.
Did I just ruin like a persona you were trying to like build for the audience of you as a coffee drinker? Because no one's gonna buy that.
I'm trying to get some sponsorships, but not Starbucks. Fuck Starbucks. But I need some sort of coffee, like radio's sponsorship.
I've never seen you energetic.
That's fair. That is fair.
You always have a I've never drank coffee vibe going on.
Yeah. I used to be addicted to caffeine.
Yeah, but not coffee.
So I had the caffeine.
I've never gotten energetic from like a Coke, you know? This doesn't do anything to me.
Oh, okay. So when like we would take road trips, and when we would be driving like late at night, I would have a soda for the caffeine to keep me up. That wouldn't work for you?
No, I would have to do like an energy drink, which I hate. And I wonder if like just the bad taste of it would keep me awake. I don't like energy drinks. They taste like acid to me.
Yeah, I would do some energy drinks as well. But then I found oh my God, sunflower seeds.
Yeah.
And that just, I could drive for 24 hours straight if I got some sunflower seeds.
Oh, they dipped in cocaine?
riveting stuff.
What are we talking about? Bloodfeast.
Adventure. Bloodfeast, The Adventures of Sergeant Lunch. Directed by David Palomero and also written by David Palomero. And Sergeant Lunch was played by Steve Station. And I'm not going to go too much into it, but we do know that the chief in the movie was played by David Palomero as well. So
when did this come out?
You want to tell the story of, well, it says 2023 on IMDb, but that's obviously not true.
I think it's 92.
It came out, it's got to be 92, right? But it came out in 2023 from Vinegar Syndrome.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was obviously early 90s. But there's a great story of how we got this. Great. I've sent you out for this one. There's a great story, an amazing story of how we got copies of this movie.
Okay, let's set the scene. This was, I want to say November 2023. I'm at the bookshop. I look at a bookshop. I don't look at it. I own it. I don't get money from it. I have not gotten a paycheck yet. I'm at the bookshop I own and do not profit from. I'm sitting at my desk. I'm looking at the screen. And suddenly I get a DM on Facebook.com. And it's from this David fella. He has seen me on a Facebook group dedicated to Vinegar Syndrome freaks. I don't know like what the term is for a fan of Vinegar Syndrome. Maybe strokes. Maybe I'm a Vinegar Syndrome stroke. He saw me on that because I was promoting this podcast, Decayed Tapes. And he thought, wow, golly gee whiz. Now, this is a guy who I should message. Then he messaged me and he said, hey, I saw your post on Facebook. I made a movie that's shot on video. And it's just came out through Vinegar Syndrome. I would love for you to talk about it on the podcast. And I said, do you think we could get 2 copies? And he said, you betcha, Sil. And then he sent us 2 copies, and then we watched them. And now we're doing this podcast. You are muted.
Wow. My neighbor, Tim, I'm going to fight him. He's still cutting his grass. It's been going for 45 minutes. So I muted myself, but you also forgot to mention how he mailed them to you.
Oh, yeah.
Same address, two separate packages, like a madman. He's a
I wasn't
madman.
planning on dunking on this fella, but yes. He did send them in
There's
two
no dunk.
separate.
It's just funny.
He did send them in two separate packages to the same address, both rush delivery too. So it was quite a penny he spent on both of these packages. Just let me give you some advice. What is his name? Oh my god, I just blanked.
David Palomero.
David, Jesus Christ. Apologies, David. I also have not had coffee, and I do drink coffee heavily. Some advice, David, from someone who mails stuff a lot. Just one package is good. You can just combine them. Media mail, even, you could have done. Because as you can see, this episode did not get recorded the same week you sent these movies. We were really grateful, though. And because
really,
I liked the movie a lot. I had a lot of fun with it.
I'm ready to like chill out. I'm ready to sell my whole show to this guy because he sent me a copy of this movie for free, which is awesome.
Now,
I was telling you when he first broached the subject of sending you one, I'm like, I've already made more money off of this podcast than any podcast I've done so far.
Now, before anyone thinks, oh, okay, so they can just be bought. That's correct.
Yes, 100%.
But also, Miguel and I did have some conversations before we watch the movie. We'll be a little concerned, like it's going to be pretty awkward if we hate this movie and then have to talk about it after he sent us these copies. Thankfully, we did not hate it. So, I mean, we have criticisms, of course. It's a shot-and-video movie made in the 90s. I mean, it's not great, but it's fun, I think. So that was a pretty big relief once I was watching it last night and realized I didn't have to just talk shit about a movie that was sent to us for free.
If the directors and writers of Blood Lake had sent us a copy for free, I would have probably said, let's not do this episode because Blood Lake, which was our last episode, is absolutely terrible. And now I'm putting it Max where he has to edit that one first before he could drop this one.
Yeah, I feel like with Blood Lake going through, that's like the bottom of the list. Like when we watch a movie, we're just going to compare it to, is it as bad as Blood Lake? And I'm going to be surprised if we find one that is. Now, I won't be surprised. If this podcast continues for a long time, we are going to watch some absolute trash. It's inevitable. I mean, it's probably going to happen next week, whatever we choose then.
Yeah.
This podcast is feeling much like playing Russian roulette.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll play that.
I will not play Russian roulette. No, I will not do it. You try to get me every time we're together. You're like, let's play Russian roulette. Let's play Russian roulette.
Always
You
wanted
bust
to.
out the pistol. You're like, this is my pawpaw's pistol.
Yeah. To be
I'm so glad you got rid of those guns.
I not all of them. I mean, the one handgun I do have that I always want to play with. It's not like you don't put the bullet in and spin it. It just sits at the top of the magazine. So like, someone's gonna lose fast.
It's just so you guys know, Max keeps that thing in him, so don't worry about it. He got it. So let's get into this movie because I refuse to have a 2-hour episode on Bloodfeast.
In the early 90s in a sunny California beachside town, murder and crime reigned.
Help! He's stealing my purse!
Until one man had the stones to stand up to the scum.
Who are you, man?
I'm Sergeant Lunch, and you're under arrest.
Bloodfeast, The Adventures of Sergeant Lunch, Part 1. Watch as the heroic Sergeant Lunch battles his evil twin brother.
I wanted to destroy you. I don't think so.
And fights to the death with an unholy death-dealing cyborg named the Annihilator. Bloodfeast, The Adventures of Sergeant Lunch, Part 1. Don't miss it.
So we said it's a Vinegar Syndrome release, and I meant to do a little bit of research before we began doing this. But when I was watching the behind the scenes making of last night, they mentioned that it came out through one of Vinegar Syndrome's like side labels, Saturn's Cool. Do you know anything about this company? I'm not too sure.
No, I don't know anything specifically about Saturn's Core, but I do know that Vinegar Syndrome does have partner labels. That's why Joe Ziemba from Bleeding Skull said that they have hooked up with Vinegar Syndrome. He told us that in at a Fantastic Fest, and so I know he's working with them. So I that's how I know that they had partner labels. And if you go on their website, it says like partner labels, you get the emails and stuff like that. But I don't know what really that all entails.
We should like interview the head of Vinegar Syndrome to get to the bottom of this. I bet you it'd be pretty easy to get a hold of them to do this. Because I
That's pretty cool.
I don't quite understand the logistics of the partner labels. Like, are they just separate companies that sometimes partner up with Vinegar Syndrome, or does Vinegar Syndrome also own these companies? Like, I'm not too positive. Like, are they an imprint, perhaps? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That'd be really interesting to talk to him about. I know that they have well, if I'm remembering correctly, their story is that they have a store in Connecticut, I believe it's called the Archive, and then Vinegar Syndrome spawned off of that. The Archive is like movies, vinyl, stuff like that.
Yeah, they also just opened a shop in Toronto. I'm really jealous. I at the same time, I'm jealous, but also relieved I don't have one of those close to me, because I feel like I would just always be in it.
100%. Same thing. I have a friend who's getting into vinyl. And so he wanted to go with me to End of an Ear here in Austin, which is a great store, a great vinyl place.
What is
but
it
they
called?
have also End of an Ear, like
Oh,
End of
okay.
an Era, but End of an Ear. And huge selection. It's like a warehouse. Not that big, but it's huge. It's a huge thing, and it's all vinyls. But then they also have a corner of just Blu-rays and DVDs, stuff like that. And it's a lot of horror stuff, but a lot of like Vinegar Syndrome, Arrow, all that stuff. And it's typically like you can find it for like 10, 15, 20% cheaper. And yeah, I was like ready to drop my whole check on there, but I had to back the fuck out. I ended up just getting a copy of Dolly Parton's Jolene vinyl.
That's a good song.
That's what I ended up getting.
I like that song.
Yeah, well, it's got the B-side is I Will Always Love You. How are you not going to get that?
I probably wouldn't, but I don't collect vinyl though.
I would sing that song to you, Max.
I never want to go to this place with you. Unless I become really wealthy, don't take me to this place. I don't think I would survive. But we were talking about Sergeant Lunch today, and if you could summarize what this movie is about in like 20 seconds, what would you say?
Sergeant Lunch is a all-star cop. He arrests up to like 300 criminals. He is lauded for that, and then he gets set up by his evil twin, and it's the downfall of Sergeant Lunch.
Yeah.
And the evil twin is like a Frankenstein sort of Dr. Frankenstein sort of character, and he creates the Annihilator, and the Annihilator kills people, and then there's a showdown at the end.
Yeah. Now, no explanation for why this man is named Lunch, by the way. I think that's his legal God-given name. That's the name given to him by Christ himself, Lunch. I don't know what his first name is.
Well,
Al.
also his
It's Al.
Al Lunch, yeah, and his brother, his evil twin, is called Feast. So
Feast Lunch. Now, what do you think was going on with the parents? Are they just really hungry people, or what's going? Are they high? Are they hippies, perhaps?
I don't think that they had parents. I think they just spawned one day.
Oh, like me.
Yeah, but I watched the background, the like 10-minute documentary,
the making of, yeah,
the making of, and it's actually okay. I'm not shilling right now for a shot on video Blu-ray release, they actually have a lot of features. Like they have a ton of David Palomero's short videos, short movies that he made. They have an interview with him and the actor. And then they have two like 35, 40-minute shot on video movies, one of them being the prequel to Bloodfeast. And the other one is just the Toxic Kid, right? Now, we didn't watch those just because we thought, well, if we ever want, if you guys want us to cover that, if we ever want to cover, we can cover that on a separate episode. But watching the making of, he was saying that they were going for like a Naked Lunch or was Naked Gun. I'm sorry, not Naked Lunch. Naked Gun, like 33 and a Third, like Leslie Nielsen satire sort of thing. And I think some of the humor was there.
Yeah.
So if you go into that knowing that, I think they kind of did a pretty good job on that.
Yeah, it definitely isn't a Hulu movie, so we will mislead Phil Shrill.
Yeah, I think the name. There's
Bloodfeast.
one horrific thing, maybe. Yeah, I think the name, they're just trying to capitalize on shot and video horror at the time. He's like, hey, listen, these idiots want horror. We'll give them the name horror, and we'll give them a little bit of blood, but mostly it's going to be Naked Gun satire.
Yeah, when they talk about the movie and the making of, they never reference it as Bloodfeast. They only call it The Adventures of SGT Lunch. Pilt 1. They keep saying Pilt 1 as well. So I think maybe that was the original title, and perhaps with this Vinegar Syndrome release, they added Bloodfeast to be a little more appetizing to take advantage of some food eating puns.
But on the title card, I'm not remembering anymore, but didn't it say Bloodfeast?
I don't recall at this point.
Okay. You're wearing your Neo sunglasses, your Sergeant Lunch sunglasses, and I can't tell when you're joking or not. Can't see your eyes, so this is good. This is
why would I be joking about not being able to recall if I saw the title code? That's not like a joke.
You joke about so many things. I don't know.
Yeah, but funny things, I am for those.
Wouldn't you say they were funny?
For those watching the video version, which is a Patreon exclusive, at least for now, we may end up uploading some to YouTube. I have sunglasses on for two reasons. One, I was late to the Zoom and I rushed into the bookshop and I forgot to change out my glasses. These are prescription glasses, so I can't see without them. And two, as we will get into, the TERMINATOR knockoff in this movie, aka the Annihilator, he has sunglasses on, so I'm kind of cosplaying a bit. I also have on a t-shirt from my favorite bookshop that I've never been to, Little Ghost Books, which is in Toronto. I wonder if they've been to this new Vinegar Syndrome pop-up. I should ask them. If you are in Toronto, visit Little Ghost Books. They're a cool company. They also publish books now. In fact, haven't announced this any place, but Little Ghosts and my company, Ghoulish, will be teaming up for a pretty fun like collaborative book in the near future. So keep an eye out on that. Just completely plugging shit. I don't know. It wasn't intending on being a plug. It just happened.
No, I love it. I love it.
I want to talk about the opening shot of this movie. Do you know where this movie takes place? I kind of got like Coney Island vibes, but I'm not positive. It's in California, isn't it?
California. Yeah, I was reading the credits at the end. It was almost shot entirely. I mean, it was shot entirely in California, different spots. Like one I remember off the top is like Beverly Hills and stuff like that.
Yeah, because as they talked about in the making of, everyone who made this movie, they were stationed at the time, right? They were like actively serving in the military, and they just made this on their days off.
Yeah, that's right.
I found that kind of funny. It's just like a lot of the sets, like the inside sets, will just like it's the actual jobs that they just filmed that in. Like my gut instinct, if you tried that now, you would be try to feel treason. I don't know. Like you would end up in what's the prison, the military prison, like Leavenworth or something.
Leavenworth. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a federal prison.
Yeah.
Yeah. At one point while I was watching the movie, and they're supposed to be in this precinct, the police precinct. I was like, that's not a precinct. That looks like barracks. And then afterwards, hearing that they were in the army, they're just shooting a movie together. I was like, okay, that makes sense.
I'm surprised you
You know?
were able to recognize that. Have you served for this country, Miguel?
I have not. I have not served.
I haven't, but my wife's husband has. So I fucked that joke up, didn't I? Let's just
Yeah,
keep
you did.
going.
You
Let's
did.
just keep going.
My girlfriend's husband
Yeah,
did.
yeah. That's
You-
the joke. I
You were
said
so
implied.
smug. It was.
It's
the smugness for me.
I
It
was pretty
awesome.
smug.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well.
All right. What I wanted to talk about first for this movie is the transfer quality message, right? So they're saying that they made this Blu-ray based off of the highest quality version they still had. I think this SVHS, I believe it's Super VHS, and because of that, there was times in the movie where like the tracking would be off, and that's just the only thing they had available for them. So I thought that, and they were just kind of like, it's basically for archival purposes and to make sure that the movie survives the next generation, which I always love, and I appreciate that from labels like Vinegar Syndrome and Arrow and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and maybe some people would be annoyed by like the scan lines and stuff on the tape, but I think it adds to the movie's charm. I don't want it to look perfect. A movie like this, it needs to have the vibe of just some dudes fucking around and they'll time off with a camera, and that's what it gives.
100%. Yeah, you're like immediately transported back. Like for me, I know you were like 3 years old, but for me, like I'm immediately transported back to like mid-90s with this movie.
Me too.
And just like the vibe of it, I definitely love it. But the movie starts off with like some music, and I was thinking, what is this, ska? I was like, I don't like it, but no, it was calypso music, which is kind of a weird.
Yeah,
well, calypso drums, right?
Yeah.
But it was like kind of a weird way to start off a movie, but maybe that's the California vibe they're going for.
I want to talk about the opening shot. Okay, it's someone making a hot dog, and do you recall this hot dog shot?
Yeah.
From what I gather,
doesn't he spell out the? Thanks for asking.
This man, the condiments he puts on the hot dog. This is what I wrote down: cheese whiz and jelly. Is that what he's putting on this hot dog?
I'll have to take your word for it. I don't recall. I just saw the hot dog and I was like, "Where's Andrew Hilbert?"
I did think of Andrew.
He needs to know about this. Yeah,
I am convinced. I even rewound it. He's doing a spray can of cheese whiz and then like grape jelly. Is that like a regional delicacy or something in California? What the fuck?
I refuse to believe so. And that the person who's doing it is Sergeant Lunch. She's the one who's making the.
He is. I wish.
Or maybe it's the hot dog vendor who hands it to Sergeant Lunch.
Yeah. Maybe it's that one specific hot dog place that has like a special hot dog.
I'll say one thing. On TikTok, I saw a video maybe 2-3 days ago about a specific pizza joint in Pittsburgh, or Pennsylvania, I should say, and they do cold toppings. So they'll heat up the crust of the pizza that gets cooked, and then after it comes out of the oven, then they put the cheese and the pepperoni, whatever. But the cheese doesn't get cooked, neither does the pepperoni, and then that's the pizza, and people eat it like that.
Sounds terrible.
So people eat weird shit all the time. So maybe this is a thing.
Now the thing with cold pizza is I love cold pizza, but it needs to be cooked and then in the fridge for like a day, and then just eat it cold the next day. It's delicious. But for the cheese not to even be cooked, that sounds like a health hazard. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like any of that.
It'll probably be fine because then it's just the ingredients. But
it's like when you were a little kid and you had like one of those Lunchables or something with the pizza, and you just ate it cold, right? Because you couldn't cook it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's a Lunchable, but you paid $30 for it.
Those will tailor-build. Yeah, so I know I was really hung up on the hot dog thing, but there's a mugging that happens. It's a really lame mugging, Bill. It's like, give me the pills, and she's like, no, and they just kind of like play tug of war for a few seconds until he runs away with it.
Sitcom level mugging.
Yeah, it's the type of mugging you would expect in the sitcom. Bill, like it was fake, like trying to get someone to fall in love with someone. So he's like, oh, okay, you go mug Hill, then I'm gonna stop you. That's the type of mugging that felt like.
Yeah, psychotic. That's a psychotic thought, by the way.
You ever been
That was
mugged?
all in the 90s and 2000s. No, I have not. My brother was mugged as he was a Marine at Camp Lejeune, which I believe, oh, that might be in North Carolina.
Oh,
I don't recall where that is, but I was gonna say it might be in California.
pretty cool, I guess. The what was the salad? Any details about it? I don't know.
I don't fucking remember. I wasn't there. My brother. It was my brother, not me.
Well, you
How the
didn't
fuck
ask
am I
him
gonna
questions, any follow-ups, like was it a gun? Was it a knife? What did they say to you? What did they get away with? Were they captured?
He was at an ATM. I remember that.
Yeah, that's why I always walk around with a net, just in case someone tries to mug me. I can just capture them with a net. Now, to clarify, I'm not talking about a space net. I have this lady named Annette who has a gun on her at all times. She's always following me around in case someone tries to mug me.
These jokes, they're landing.
That was a pretty good one,
Not
right?
with me, but the listener
Yeah.
is listening. Yeah. David Palomero was tuned in. Is really enjoying that. Listen, we know we got at least one listener, so let's move it along here.
Oh, go on.
He's eating that freaking hot. I got this, Max. I got this. He's eating the hot dog. The purse snatch happens. He goes to throw the hot dog in the garbage, completely misses the garbage can with that. Love it. Then there's a long extended chase on a pier. And it's pretty funny. There's a bunch of gags here. One of the gags is like a porta potty gag.
That's the one I have
right?
written down
One
too.
guy goes in. Yeah. And
But
then
what's the
there's
gag?
actually a leap. So I don't know. One guy goes in, the other guy goes in, and the other guy like, yeah, like it's like a. So you explain.
Well, I
describe
didn't
it.
see either of them go in. I just saw both of
Oh
them.
yeah, they come
I just
out,
saw
right.
both of them emerge from two different porta potties side by side, and like there's a moment of confusion, and then the chase begins again. So I don't know if they stopped for like a pee break or what happened exactly, but
Yeah,
I found it amusing.
I like to think that. Yeah. And there's also a leap over Springfield Gorge. And if you get that reference, we could be friends. But yeah, there's like this, they jump over this thing as they're slow-mo, and it's obviously the camera's on the floor. They're just like kind of jumping over it. Silly stuff, but cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this in the past, but one of the fun things about watching these types of movies is just like seeing creative stunts and then figuring out like, oh, okay, that's how they did it. Like because most they didn't have like a budget, and it's fun to see how they do these workarounds. And the guy who mugs the lady, he gets on a bike and he gets chased by Lunch. But the guy on the bike suddenly has a gun and he begins shooting at him. Is that right?
Yeah. And he's shooting back at him, which actually comes back in later in the movie as well. And then Lunch is like kind of dodging the bullets, and he like lifts one leg. It's comical. Like I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna like this movie, just the way it was coming out. But then he catches up to the guy and knocks the guy out, and that's when we see everybody's clapping, whatever, and we see the newspaper headline come out. He nabs his 300th criminal, so he's like the all-star cop. But this is an important time to remember to say, even with Sergeant Lunch, it's ACAB all day, every day.
Oh, absolutely. He's done a great cop.
Yeah, actually, that is true.
He's
well,
not
it's
the
funny.
greatest
Like
cop.
it's funny the way that they have it, where like he's this superhero cop, and then one thing he doesn't nab one criminal, and everybody turns against him.
Yeah.
So it's like the thin blue line, but not really.
I haven't seen that documentary in a long time. I can't quite remember the plot of it. I think it's about someone who gets like it's a traffic stop and then they shoot the cop. Is that right?
Oh, I don't remember. I may have seen that. I was just saying, yeah, I was just making.
Oh, you built
using the term.
referencing the documentary.
Right.
I thought you will. Never mind. Let's carry on. I recall it being a pretty good doc. Anyway, unrelated.
Yeah.
We do get one of many newspaper effects. Bill, it's like the classic spinning really fast and coming to a stop, and you see the headline. I wonder what the newspaper budget was in this movie. I don't know.
I've seen how they shoot those in the past, and I'm pretty sure they probably do like this as well. I apologize, I have allergies and stuff, but they have the camera from up top, and they have the newspaper just like on one of those lazy Susans, and they just spit it, and that's how it does it. I always think it's fun to see those. You don't see those very much anymore in movies.
Lazy Susans.
Lazy Susans and the newspaper shot, yeah.
I feel like if you looked up the origin of the name Lazy Susan, it would probably not be too.
It's going to be racist.
It's not going to hold up.
It's going to be. No, don't do that.
We had a whole thing trying to find like a big Lazy Susan for the bookshop, and it was a pain in the ass, man. You can't find like a huge Lazy Susan these days. Times have changed. After
this is the behind the scenes content that people are tuning in for.
People.
Person is tuning in for.
After this, we cut to the Feast, who is the evil twin brother of Lunch, and his hideout, what I can like ascertain, is like a homeless man's killed build house. I'm not quite sure where he is. What did you get from this?
Some nondescript corner of some empty building, which is later on we find out is actually the case.
Yeah. It's basically just like an evil monologue about he's going to get revenge on Lunch. And I thought I wasn't paying attention, but I don't think we ever find out like why he's getting revenge. I don't quite know what the motives are besides just being an evil twin.
Well, first of all, I don't think we know at this point that he's a twin yet. We know we found out his brother, but he's got the hood over his head.
But we know
his
it,
face.
though.
Do we? Are we sure we know? Maybe we do. How do you know at this point that it's an evil twin?
Because in the beginning of the episode, you mentioned he has an evil twin named Feast in the summary.
You're talking about but I'm saying in the movie, in the context of the movie.
I'm not in the movie. I'm in this podcast.
Excellent.
Go on.
Good to know. But so yeah, we find out. But he says that his parents always praised Lunch and never praised him. You're always doing good things, Lunch, and Feast, you're fucking up. So that was the catalyst, the motivation behind it.
Oh,
that was a motivating factor for him to become evil Dr. Frankenstein, and create the ultimate killing machine. He says he'll program it to destroy, to maim, to kill. I was like, okay, well, you just call it the ultimate killing machine, so I don't know if you needed to mention that again, but I dug the vibe.
I have only one quote from this scene, and it's right after he says all the things this robot can do. He then says, "Too bad it can't rape."
Yes, that was.
Is that too bad?
That was really weird.
It didn't even seem to fit the comedy of the movie. I felt it was really out of place.
Yeah. I guess a truly evil person would say that, right? But also in between those two, so Feast is saying evil shit, and then we cut to scenes of somebody surfing, and then there's just explosions happening, as if like he was kicked out of the water, like probably fell out of whatever it's called when you're surfing, but they make it sound like he exploded out of the water, and then it cuts to "Too bad it can't rape." I was like, yeah. What? And we see that same thing maybe 3 times throughout the movie. that like cut into the surfing thing with the
Yeah.
explosions. No idea why.
I don't
Doesn't
get
come
it.
back at all.
No.
It's not even a transition. It doesn't, because it's not a transition to another scene. It's that, and then it goes back to the same scene we were in.
Do you know what it
So it's just
reminded me
kind
of?
of.
You ever
What's
see that gif of like a traumatized dog looking at a cupcake, and then like those like PTSD flashbacks of Vietnam? That's kind of
Yeah.
how I saw it. I don't understand. I still
see
don't
that.
understand like why, but that's what I kept thinking of. I think it's a basset hound, the dog. Really funny. GIF, I don't know.
It's definitely gift. Don't start. But then he powers up Ultimate Killing Machine with like these bracelet wraps.
Uh-huh.
Do you remember those? Like those ones that would fold and unfold, and they would just snap over your wrists.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's basically what it looks like he does to like power up the Ultimate Killing Machine. And then the Ultimate Killing Machine does a couple feats of strength to show that he's powered up all the way.
Yeah, he like
low budget filmmaking.
He bends like what, like a crowbell or something, some type of steel. I don't know, but he bends it like into the shape of a saxophone. Is that right?
I couldn't quite tell because some of this is like dark, obviously, just based on what they shot on. So I couldn't tell.
Yeah, I thought it might have been a saxophone. I asked my wife if I was correct, and she was like, "I'm not watching this." I went, "Oh, okay." She laughed at
literally when you.
Yeah.
Good.
She laughed at a few things, but she wasn't really paying attention.
When you said, I asked my wife, I was like, Lori watched this?
She was doing stuff on the computer at the same time and laughing once in a while. She enjoyed the basketball scene that we'll get to later. Best scene in the movie. After that,
hey Max.
Yeah.
Max, sorry to interrupt you. I apologize. Hillary's trying to get my attention. Can we pause for just a second?
So after we get this whole scene with the robot boy, we go back to the precinct, which is, by the way, I don't know if you caught this, called I Owe You One PD. Pretty funny.
Yeah,
I
didn't catch it. I didn't catch it till afterwards when they were talking about it. They seem to be pretty happy with that joke.
Yeah,
pretty proud of that joke.
I also did not catch it until after it was done, but I'm sure they mentioned it at some point in the movie. I just didn't pay attention. So we get a pretty impressive shot of the cameras in front of Lunch, and Lunch is doing a walkthrough of the whole precinct, and it's all one shot. And I just felt like it was handled pretty well, especially because every time he goes into a new room, feels like a brief moment will someone greets him and he has like a brief interaction with somebody. I just thought it was I loved the shot of that. I thought for like a shot on video movie, it was pretty creative and fun to watch.
Yeah, and like you said, they were all like congratulating him, giving him like cookies and shit like that. And he at one point he's talking to them and he's like, I can't tell you how much this means to me. And then he grabs the guy's coffee that was saying congratulations to them and just walks away and starts drinking it. Again, small moments like that, it really does feel like Naked Gun.
Yeah.
And so that's when I think they were successful at it.
Someone made him a cookie, and I didn't realize it was a cookie at first. And I thought they were handing him a goddamn like oddly futuristic Game Boy, but I realized later on it was a cookie that was supposed to be the shape of like a vehicle, like a cop curl, because like what I thought were joysticks were the curls and tiles. I was really confused by this cookie, and it didn't help that the video quality isn't great. So I thought it was a Game Boy. I don't know, but I did laugh when at some point he takes that cookie and just tosses it into a pot of coffee as he's walking past it.
Yeah, I love that they have like all the cops eating donuts and stuff like that. I love that trope. I'll never get tired of it. But at one point he sits at his desk, and behind him there's a paper up on the wall, and it says, "The beatings will continue until morale improves." Love it. I love that. I've seen it in other places, but I just love that there.
Yeah. Do you love it because it's funny, or you like, yes, that's a good message?
Both.
Nice.
I'm really into authoritarianism.
I laughed a lot. I think it was the chief of police. Someone's like, "Hey, chief, you want some coffee?" And he's like, "Yeah, I do." Then he reaches in his pocket and just brings out a styrofoam cup that he had on him the whole time. That was a pretty big laugh
Yeah.
from me. And this whole scene is
That's
really good. Naked. It's not Naked Lunch.
Naked
What the
Gun.
Naked Gun? You have me thinking of Naked Lunch. It's because the movie's called Lunch.
Yeah, exactly. I will say that the majority of the time, if that I'm recalling, where the comedy lands like 100% for me is these interactions with the star, Sergeant Lunch and his chief, who is chief. His name is Chief Willie Donuts, and is played by David Palmero.
Yeah, so they just
I
have
think
that chemistry. And you can see that on the
Yeah.
making of video they do too. They just have a natural chemistry together. They should have been like piltnuls or something, and both have been in the movie the whole time because I enjoyed both of them a lot. The type of humor that did not always land with me, I would say, we haven't gotten into it yet, but there was a lot of meta comedy in it that I chuckled at
Yes.
to begin with, but then it just kept going, and I found that a little grating. That's just not the type of comedy I enjoy that much, especially when it's overdone like it is in this movie. So that was something I wasn't a fan of.
Yeah, like sprinkling that a little bit here and there is fine, I think. Like like winking to the low budgetness of it. But when like you continue to return to it for laughs, it's like you've overstayed your welcome with that bit.
It feels like a crutch at a certain point. And is that an ableist film now? I don't know. It might be.
Yeah, let's
sounds-
just say it is.
I'm leaving it.
And just apologize right
I
now.
apologize to everybody at any point in time for anything I might have said or done. What happens
Especially if he responds to what you say with LOL, okay. He's sorry about that. He can't help himself.
Yeah. Well, no one knows what you're talking about. We then leave to a completely different household. It's like a Mexican family, right? Watching TV.
Would we say they're Mexican because they speak Spanish?
Yeah.
You want to apologize right now?
No, I mean they're in California as well. That's right.
Making some assumptions?
Yeah, I'm making lots of assumptions. What did you assume? Oh, I'm sorry.
I thought that there was a couple speaking Spanish.
Did you think they might have been Canadian? Come on, shut up.
They could have been Ecuadorian, Costa Rican, South
okay.
American.
Okay, maybe they will.
Digging in deeper. I like it. Your response to me is LOL. Okay, go ahead.
The two Californians speaking Spanish and watching TV, and I was pretty intrigued by what they were watching because, like, the main thing being yelled at in the movie is, "My name is Jimmy, not Einstein." He just keeps shouting it, and I thought, "What is this movie?" I'm still not positive, but the two Californians speaking Spanish, they say like, "Oh, this movie sucks. Who made this movie?" And they name the guy who made Sergeant Lunch, David. They name him. So I wonder if it's one of the movies on the bonus features.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, but I didn't recognize it because I saw the movies afterwards. But I just wanted to mention one thing real quick. We skipped a scene where Sergeant Lunch meets Miss Lowdown from the Tattletale, and she's a reporter. And it's a real quick scene. She immediately starts coming on to him. She wants to go to his apartment somewhere silent for them to talk. He's like very obtuse about it, doesn't realize that she wants to have sex. He says like the walls, he's like, "We can't go to my apartment. The walls make a squeaky noise on Wednesdays and Fridays."
Between
she's like,
8
"That's okay
and
with me."
9.
Yeah. And so they end up going to his apartment. And then we see the scene that you were talking about.
I do like
yeah,
how the chief introduced who the woman was to Sergeant Lunch. He's like, "Hey, there's a newspaper woman waiting to see you." I thought that was pretty appropriate. I mean, that's what she is, right? A woman who's in the newspapers. Terrible.
I thought she was a woman made of newspapers.
I don't say that to me, man. I instantly had an erection when you said that. That's like my dream.
Yeah.
I would love to take that woman and just like smash her against some silly putty.
Pretty
um,
good.
There's a pretty great scene after they get to the apartment. Bill, we get a lot of like moaning, and it's implying they're having some fantastic sex. And then the camera pans through like all these like discarded clothes. And then we see the newspaper woman and the cop. They all just eating some sandwiches at the kitchen table. I like that.
Yeah, I like that was a pretty funny joke as well. But then I was like, well, why were the clothes on the floor then? Because he doesn't seem like a messy man. He's very
Yeah.
kept up, he's straight posture and all that. But still, it was a good joke. But again, sorry, to go back real quick. Ultimate Killing Machine has a really cool scene here where there's some so he kills or he beats the woman, the Californian. He beats her up. Then he beats the husband up, but the husband is trying to do some karate with him. And then he does the Terminator thing where he pulls the shotgun out from the back of his leather jacket and shoots the husband, and then shoots the wife, shoots TV as well. But then as he's leaving, he takes the potato chips. So I kind of like that. Little parts of humor here. And so I like that they're going for like this definitely came out after, or I believe they filmed it after Terminator 2 came out, because there's some scenes kind of mirroring that.
100%. I did have that in my notes. I just have it written in the wrong sequence of events. A thing I did have in my notes about that scene, the sound effects are so loud and comical to me. Every time like a punch sound effect in this movie is the same sound effect for a gun going off. And to me, the noise sounds so like distinctively of a basketball being dribbled like in an empty gymnasium. I wonder if that's what it is. That's all I could like picture when that noise would go. And of course, this is shot in video. I mean, there's no budget, so like a shotgun goes off, so there's no like flash or anything. There's just like a bump, and that's it. Which adds to it. I think I like that. You don't need to be fancy. Do you think that was a real shotgun, by the way, that they just took from Full Job?
Oh shit! I don't even know. I hadn't even thought about that. Yeah, that'd be funny. So then the next scene after that is this scene where they're eating and he's made them sandwiches, and he's apparently the best sandwich maker. Of course, if you're named Lunch, you have to be really good at making sandwiches, right? I think maybe that's the joke there.
It would be funnier if he didn't know how to cook.
Or if she'd be like, "Oh, can you make me something to eat?" He's like, "I don't really eat.
I only eat breakfast."
Yeah. But then we cut to a scene where we see the evil brother feast, and he's
you will cutting, because it's stealing this sandwich scene. Well, she's like, I do want to interview you, and I'm gonna tell me about yourself. And he goes, well, to begin with, I have an evil twin brother feast. And this is when we get one of the meta jokes, which I thought was okay. Well, he says the writing team wants me to link my twin brother to the story, and this seems like a convenient section of the script to do it in. That I thought was okay. But then they keep doing those types of jokes, and it's like, oh, I get it. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, and then he goes on to say like something that Feast did as a child that was evil was he put a cat in a microwave, and obviously he blew it up, killed the cat, terrible. But that his mom made him clean it up with his tongue. So
I missed that. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So he did have a mom.
Oh shit. Yeah, they did have a mom.
Wow. Yeah. Maybe not a sane woman by the sounds of it. You named your kids
Probably not.
Feast and well, one kid's name is Feast, and the other kid's name is Al, if you think about it. I mean, Lunch is his last name.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So we
that is-
have
so it's
we
feast.
have feast,
feast-
lunch, and Al
Go ahead.
lunch.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then she offers to help find Feast. And then I guess right now in my notes, I thought the pork pie was an pork pie hat. I think that's the name, pork pie hat. It was an interesting choice for wardrobe for this character because really everything else he's just wearing like a long sleeve button down shirt and tie and dress pants, kind of nondescript. But the pork pie hat really brings it together.
Yeah, I know they mentioned like why that hat in the making of, but I'm blanking. I think maybe the Axel just had a bunch of them, and he usually had them on. Maybe.
One of the people who helped make the movie wore the hats, and so I had a bunch,
Oh,
and
okay.
that's how it came in. Yeah, but I thought that there was something like with the color. Like I thought Lunch wears white and Feast wore like red at one point. One of them was wearing red when they were doing the whole switch thing. I was like, oh, it's red. That means that's Feast, but it wasn't. I think they just like
Oh,
would wear whatever hat that they had
had.
available to them at the day or whatever.
Yeah. So the whole thing, the interview ends, and Lunch is like, I think this is what I wrote down. He goes, I have to go pick up some mothballs. And so they leave. Is that what he says?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
does that mean? What's a mothball?
Oh, you don't know what a mothball is?
Is it just like
It's
one of those like cleaning things? Is that what that is? Like you scrub your
no,
face
it's
with it?
no, no. I don't know what you're talking about, but you're talking about like an exfoliator or something. But no, a mothball is so. Do you know moths? If they get into your house and lay eggs in your clothes, once those larvae hatch, they will eat your clothes. So that's how you get holes in your clothes. And so mothball is it's just a ball of I don't know what chemical it is, but it smells terrible. Well, it's very powerful, and that smell is so powerful that it detracts moths from landing in your cloth and in your clothes and stuff like
I've
that.
never had to be concerned about moths in my entire life. Have you?
Never in when we were living in Chicago, but when we moved down here to Texas in Austin, when we first got here, we had some moths, and they were just being around the house, so we got the mothballs. The thing they don't tell you about mothballs is, yeah, it will keep the moths away, but it also keeps other people away from you because the smell is so powerful that it gets into your clothes, and so
Yeah.
everywhere you walk, you smell like mothballs, and it's not a pleasant smell.
How would you describe the smell?
It's just a very powerful chemical smell.
Okay.
Yeah, just not very pleasant. In fact, while this was happening, I was at a job where I shared a small room with a woman who was a
Made the
small office, I
newspaper.
should say, with a woman who was she was a newspaper woman. She was pregnant at the time, and I came in the weekend after we first installed, and you put these mothballs everywhere. And she was like, she put her nose up, and she was like, "What is that smell?" I'm like, I don't know. What do you mean?" It's like, do you have mothballs in your pockets or something? I was like, "Oh no, it's probably just my jacket." He's like, "Oh my God, can you please do me a favor and put that jacket outside?" Because she was pregnant and her sense of smell was
Yeah.
heightened. So I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then like for 2 weeks later, after that, it was the middle of winter. I would just have to leave my jacket outside
Wow.
because she was like, "That scent is overpowering."
You could have rubbed it all over your clothes, and she could have demanded that you take everything off. Imagine how that could have led, right? Yeah.
To the pregnant woman. Yeah,
Pregnant women could have sex.
that is
Yeah.
true. Yeah,
Yeah.
wow. How did you turn that around on me? Fuck.
Oddly sexist of you, but okay, let's move on.
Yeah.
I was thinking
So
of
Max
cotton
has
balls,
learned
by
about
the way.
mothballs.
I was thinking of cotton
Cotton
balls.
balls.
That's what I was thinking
Okay,
of.
okay.
I've never had to be worried about moths. I hope that doesn't change suddenly because I don't want that smell. I don't have nice clothes though. I just
Wait. You say that, but there's literally a moth man over your right shoulder.
I forgot about that. If anything, I love Mothmen. You know,
There you go.
that Mothman specifically has done a great thing for the company. And we were talking about a novella called Below by Laurel Hightower, which is a book about Mothman, kind of. Okay. What's
Yeah.
next? Okay, now we get to the scene that you were trying to talk about with Feast attacking people.
Yeah, I don't know why, but we smash cut to Feast having a fight with a dude for a camera. Don't
Yeah.
know why. But Killing Machine just, I think we give him a name later on, but I don't remember what it is.
The
Right now, I was just
Annihilator.
saying Killing Machine. Annihilator, right. Annihilator just rips the dude's arm off, and the guy is nonplussed, to say the least. He's just kind of annoyed about it. He's like,
Yeah.
oh,
why'd you have to do that? That was my arm. God damn it.
yeah, very, very comical, like that. The part that I love the most is then Annihilator grabs the guy's hands, closes his fists, and then beats the dude with his own fists. Love that.
Great.
I love
Pretty
it.
great. He has no interest in that camera, by the way. He does not pick it up and take it. I don't know what was going on, what began this fight, because we'll see later on he can interact with people and just socialize. So I don't know what why. Maybe the camera flash spooked him like a monster, like an ET.
Oh,
I don't know. Because we do once in a
yeah,
while
maybe.
see the Annihilator looking at people through a Terminator point of view, like a really digital screen calculating things.
Yeah, I like that scene as well. But yeah, so then Lunch shows up and yells like, "Drop that man's arm!"
Yeah.
And so he drops it, and then they kind of fight. They tussle a little bit. He doesn't kill Lunch, but he does shoot the other guy. So talk about the Annihilator. Annihilator doesn't kill Lunch. He drops it, doesn't kill him, but kills the other guy. And then we immediately smash to the headline, like, Lunch can't stop the Annihilator. The Killing Machine stalks the city. They question his credibility. They say he's working with the Annihilator. And then they zoom in on something that says, ex-girlfriend says he can't perform in bed.
I like
Very
that a
funny.
lot.
I like it.
Again, that's that Naked Gun humor that they manage to capture once in a while pretty well. I haven't seen those Naked Gun movies in a long time. I don't know if they hold up or not, but I think there's probably a few jokes that are pretty good still. You love that type of
Well, I mean, it's
boomer humor, right?
well, it does star OJ Simpson, so I'm not sure how much they hold up anymore.
Is he problematic? Did something happen?
I think something happened in the paper. I don't know. I think it was canceled for something. I'm not sure.
Yeah. After this, well, I mean, there's like a lot of stuff. But like, is it at this point that he loses his job, or later on in the movie?
It's gonna happen in a second, but we're at the precinct, and he's all beaten up and stuff like that and bruised up. And Mary, the reporter, who is now apparently his very devoted girlfriend, she's there with him. And then we meet Detective Sylvester Meekum, who's in Internal Affairs. Sly Meekum, he's in Internal Affairs, and basically saying, like, I'm going to take you down, sort of thing. And then Captain Donuts shows up here. He's always eating something. This time he's eating chips. And he's like, yeah, sorry about this, but we got to look into it, whatever. And he's like, oh, I got to leave. I'm going to Wacky World with the mayor. And earlier, when he was leaving, he's like, oh, I got to go. I'm going golfing with the DA. So it's always something where he's always leaving. Again, I like the bit.
But they take his gun and badge, right?
I'm
pretty sure they do at some point.
I do know
this is it.
Yeah, they do at some point, and it might be it, but not sure yet. Let's just say he does. And if they don't, then whatever.
Can you imagine if the police did this type of scrutiny on someone who like shot a child? What a universe we would be living in.
Yes.
I want to live. I want to live in the universe of Sergeant Lunch.
Okay, I looked it up. They take his gun after he's framed.
Oh,
not yet
yes.
here.
That's right. I'm jumping
Yeah.
ahead.
Okay,
Ah,
but
ah,
I will let you know. No, I wanted to say the next scene is your favorite scene.
oh,
It's
it's a
the
Nat
basketball scene.
Yields. It's a Nat Yule
It's
favorite
mine as
scene.
well. It's mine as
Oh,
well. But I'm
so it's all favorite scene. Gotcha. This is the white
yes.
man can't jump scene. He approaches these three guys at a basketball court, and they're playing basketball. Now when I say he approaches, I'm talking about the Annihilator. He walks up to them, and I assume at this point he's just going to slaughter all three of them. But secretly, I'm hoping that they play basketball with him. I think that would be the ultimate outcome of this scene. But that's not going to happen. But I was wrong. This is exactly what happens. They begin fighting, and they need someone else to jump in with them. And they go to the Annihilator. It's like, hey, what about you? Why don't you play basketball with us? And then they just play a game of basketball for like 5 minutes, and he's really good at it.
Well, at first he doesn't understand what is happening, and then they're like, "Hey, man, we're playing
Yeah.
basketball," and then he updates. He's like, "Okay, cool." But this is exactly what Terminator 2 was missing: a
Mhm.
scene where Arnold Schwarzenegger plays basketball with John Connor.
Yeah, that would have been great.
Great, yeah, it would be amazing. Um, but did you notice that one of the dudes, one of the basketball players, was wearing a Black Bart
I
T-shirt?
did. I did. Yeah.
Oh man, I was so fucking happy to see it. I was like, yes, pinpoints exactly in time where you are when you're wearing a Black Bart Simpson T-shirt.
I've never seen one of those before.
Oh, really? Okay, this was huge in the
What's
'90s. Like, all they would do is they would take they would do, first of all, these are bootleg shirts, right? Find them at any swap meet, any flea market, um, and they would take characters for like well-known cartoon characters, Bugs Bunny, all the Looney Tunes, The Simpsons, and turn them into like hip hop black characters. So like Bart Simpson would be Bob Marley, so he'd have dreads and be wearing one of those I don't know, Rastafari hats. I'm not sure what it is. I apologize.
I have
He'd
seen
be
I have seen
smokes,
those. Okay.
yeah, smoking weed, or like, or Bug Taz would be like in baggy jeans and Jinko jeans, shit like that. Just like a very, I'm sure, like if the one listener, I'm sure David Palomero knows what we're talking about,
Mhm.
because this was kind of huge in the '90s. It just took me back to a moment in time, like cross colors. Do you know what cross colors are?
I don't know the name, but I might know what it is.
No, Cross Colors was a brand. It was
Oh,
a brand of
no.
clothes in the '90s. It was hip hop inspired, very colorful, Afrocentric colors, like Pan African colors and stuff like that. And that was also big in the '90s as well. So, like I said, it just takes me back to this moment in time, and I just really love to see it.
It's funny that they were doing that in the 90s, because if you try to make a character who wasn't black now, they would storm the Capitol and claim wokeness has plagued the country.
Yeah,
I
and I'm
don't
sure people were saying that then too. There's always those types of people.
maybe. I don't know. Who
Yeah.
could no
So
way to
then
tell.
so they start playing basketball, and of course, like the dudes that are playing basketball, they're good at it. They're making shots. They're one of them is able to dunk, and then Annihilator learns to dunk as well. It's so funny though. His shots are always from below. They don't show him jumping off of the ground to
Yeah.
dunk. It's always from below. You don't ever see his feet.
It's like the
Love those
cameraman
as
is
well.
lifting him.
Yeah, exactly. Which of course nobody expects Sergeant Lunch to actually be able to dunk, but
You mean
that
the
was pretty cool.
Annihilator.
Annihilator, sorry, Annihilator be
Every
able to dunk.
time the Annihilator jumps too, there's like a sonic sound effect, like the hedgehog, whenever he would like run into something. I found that's the best like comparison I can make the sound effects. I thought it was funny.
Yeah, you mentioned that. I didn't catch it, but that'd be funny. But he shoots and scores. He sets picks. He rebounds. He dunks. And then he so they end up winning, but he gets a little bit rough with them, and they get really angry about it. They're like, "Hey, man, this isn't football, this is basketball." And so he grabs one of the ballers and throws him up on the hoop, which is
Yeah.
cool, kind of funny to see.
Yeah.
And then he throws the basketball in one of the other ballers' face, and then he just turns around and shoots the other one that was trying to run. And I thought right away, I was like, "Yeah, that's not fair. One guy just got thrown up on the hoop. The
Yeah.
other guy just got a ball in his face. You're going to shoot this guy?" But then he turns around and shoots the others. I was like, okay.
I didn't
indiscriminate killing.
I didn't love the gun stuff that happened here. I was hoping just for some creative Looney Tune kills. Like, I really wanted that basketball to decapitate that guy. I thought that would have been amazing. But yeah, the reliance on the pistol, maybe just because of budget constraints, I just would have preferred that the violence was a bit wackier. I do have to say, like, when they will like confronting him before the violence happens, like about being too rough, like they will like giving him shit. I don't have it in my notes, but did he keep saying why? Like, and they will just baffled, like, you can't do that, and he would go, why?
Yeah, that's right. Just like T2 and T2 when he's saying that. Yeah.
Yeah,
not catch that.
You mentioning like if T2 had that basketball scene in it, well, just like John Connell, like just teaching him how to do other games, it would have been it would have been perfect. I mean, I love that movie a lot. I loved it more as a kid than I do now. I tend to prefer the original one now, which is the opposite of my preference from when I was a kid, but both are pretty fun.
Yeah, for me, one of the most fun parts about T2 is when like he tells him to hop on his leg or like put one leg up in the air or something like that, to show that he's willing to, that he has to do everything that John Connor tells him to do.
Yeah.
So they're kind of playing around that way. That was a fun part, and I would have liked to see that kind of continued. I know later on when they're in their desert, I believe they get a little bit closer or something like that. But yeah, that would have been real fun. And this basketball scene is kind of reminiscent of, if you've seen it, the scene in Catwoman when Halle Berry plays basketball, which is she plays basketball with some dude fully dressed up in the Catwoman outfit, and it's kind of hilarious. It's one of those scenes.
What's the context of it? Like, why?
Oh, I've never seen the movie. I've just seen the clip on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah.
So after this, we cut to Lunch deciding that he needs someone to teach him how to fight, because suddenly he doesn't know how to fight. I don't know if he never knew how to fight, but I mean, it seems like he did. So now he just can't. So he seeks out this guy named Chuck Van Lee.
Yeah.
And he's like the ultimate fighting machine. He finds him at, I thought it was like a dance house, but when he goes into it, it's like a living room. I was confused by what I was seeing.
Yeah, they obviously just shot the exterior and the interior separately, but it was supposed to be a cocktail lounge. It was called the Fuck You Chinese Pub. Very 90s humor. And then he asks for orange juice on the rocks. And the bartender, do you remember what the bartender says? Yeah, I wrote it down. The bartender goes, "Tubers, dude."
What?
Like, tubers, okay. Tubers, like, I don't know,
like
tubular. Remember,
yeah.
Tubular was the word, but instead he says tubers, dude.
And that's a new one,
okay,
though. To abbreviate
that
it
one,
like that, yeah.
But then he doesn't make. All he asks for is orange juice on the rocks. That's it. And then the guy makes something completely different, full of alcohol. And when Lunch goes to taste it, he's like, and he just puts it down.
Isn't it pink?
But he it's blue or something.
Oh, it's
from what
blue.
I remember.
Yeah, it might be that same blue
You
drink
might
they make in Zodiac. The aqua.
Never seen it.
You haven't seen Zodiac?
I know. I need to see it. I know. That's on my top of the list of.
That's like one of my favorite movies of all time. Wow.
And Travis from Podmortem, that's his favorite movie as well. It's like one of his comfort movies. Like he'll be doing stuff and just have it on in the background.
It's so good.
And I'm like, I need to watch it. I mean, Fincher, right? I know.
Yeah.
Like I've liked Fincher. Yeah.
I would love to you should like come over to the shop and watch it with me. I have like
but then
the Blu-ray and stuff.
Okay, we do that.
I mean, not while
If people come,
open
if like,
on a day
oh,
they're
okay, I was gonna say,
closed, like a Sunday, little Monday.
okay, that's cool. Movie night.
Yeah.
So then he asks if anybody knows how to fight, and then they all pull out weapons or something like that. And he's like, I don't want to fight you guys. He asks for Chuck Van Lee, and he's right there. So obviously they're doing a Chuck Norris, Bruce Lee thing. I don't know what the Van is. Oh, maybe Van Damme.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That is what it is. Yeah.
That's cool. I like it.
We just kind of get a long
see-
training montage that I kind of zone out on. It wasn't like exciting. Didn't really have any humor in it. It was kind of billing. I didn't really pay too much attention to it.
Yeah. Exactly. The training montage. And at the end of the training montage, he says, when we're done here, will I be able to beat Annihilator? And he says, Chuck Van Lee says, I don't know. He may be using drugs or he may be a machine. Like, what? That's a pretty big leap. I love it.
Yeah. After that, we get to a pretty fun scene, I thought, which is it's like a live news update. This newswoman is knocking on someone's front door to ask them about some homicides that took place recently nearby. I'm not even sure which ones she's asking about. Do you?
No, not mentioned. It's you will probably no, I was gonna say the guy that he tore the arm off with, but no. So we could just assume that Annihilator is just killing random people, which is what Feast kind of set him out in the world to do.
Yeah. I don't recall everything that was said in the interview, but I just remember the guy being really excited about being on TV.
Yeah, exactly. So then we cut to Feast, and he's like, part 2 of my brilliant plan. And then he reveals himself to look like Sergeant Lunch. And he dresses like him, and he's going to kill people as Lunch. And then he orders Annihilator to first kill Mary, the reporter, then the trainer, then kill Lunch. Then we get more surf explosions. And then Evil laughs into the camera. So I'm just realizing this happens whenever Feast is on the camera, is
Not always.
is talking or whatever.
No.
Okay. Well,
it
the
happens
first 2 times
it happens again at the end, but we don't see Feast.
Okay.
So after this, the Annihilator attacks Chuck Van Lee. I don't recall what happens is Feast, he gets a phone call from the chief, like, hey, Chuck Van Lee's been attacked. Go see what's going on. So he rushes and finds Chuck Van Lee just like on the ground, all bloody. And they do a bunch of jokes that I found annoying about how, like, oh, yeah, there was this massive fight scene, but the production budget wouldn't allow us to shoot it. So, oh, well, I just feel like you could have gotten around that. You could have filmed like an actual fight scene. I don't know. I didn't like it. Like once or twice is okay, but I mean the movie's 62 minutes long, and if you begin doing it more than like once, it becomes noticeable.
Yeah. Max, I wanted to back up a bit to 2 scenes that we missed. First, it's the scene where Lunch has been framed by Feast for mugging somebody at the ATM. And that Sly's Sylvester internal affairs guy, I forget already.
Sly.
He's telling him that, Sly's like, I was just waiting for you to fuck up. He shows him the video of him Feast mugging somebody and then shooting him. So the DA Chief Donuts comes and says, hey, the DA promised we wouldn't press charges if the captain paid for his next round of golf. So he's got to do that. It's a pretty good deal. But then he says, the person you shot was a lawyer, so no one cares about him. But unfortunately, you do have to turn in your badge and gun. Yeah. And he's like, if I stuck up for you any more than that, it would be too much paperwork. So that's that. So that's where he loses his badge, his gun. Yeah. The next scene is Feast goes to Mary's house. And no, not Feast. I'm sorry.
Lunch.
Lunch goes to Mary's house and says, "Oh, I was just about to get some information on him tonight." And then that's when he takes the call. Then he finds out that Chuck Van Lee was attacked. So then that's where we're at, where you said earlier. And then one part that within that, like, mugging to the camera, breaking the fourth wall thing, he does say it is a triple B movie. So I did like that part, not as much. I still don't think that he should have done it, but then he does that.
Oh, well,
But do you remember the next scene?
I do. I mean, unless I'm skipping a scene, I don't know. I keep skipping scenes. The next scene I think of is the newswoman, right? Being assassinated.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so I'll just read my notes real quick. He says, Chuck Van Lee says, "I tried to beat him physically, but he's too powerful. You must outthink him." And then he gives him 3D glasses. And then he says, "Put them on when you face him." And then Chuck Van Lee breaks the fourth wall again and tells us to put on our 3D glasses when Lunch does. But then later on, Lunch does not put on the glasses.
They don't come back at all. Yeah. Oh well. I mean, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. But then we get the hallway scene from T2. Remember that hallway scene in the back of the mall where he's got the shotgun in the box with the flowers?
Yeah.
So that's what they're doing here. But he's going to Mary's house, knocks on the door. Mary opens the door and he pulls out the gun and shoots her first with the shotgun and then with the Uzi.
Yeah,
he double kills her.
It's great. It's so funny to me just watching him hold this Uzi. It does not move like a gun would move as you're shooting it. There's no flash or anything. It's just completely calm, and then with the sound effects.
Yeah, but I was like, oh shit, they actually killed her. Which, like, I don't ever want to see somebody die, but when it comes to the story, I thought that was pretty, like, brave of them to kill, even though we don't have too much of a connection with her. Still killing your main character's love interest.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Is she not dead?
No, he kills her. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, you said I thought he killed her. And I thought you were going to tell me that she showed up again, and I missed it.
Oh no, he kills her.
Oh yeah, but it doesn't really have much of an impact on the movie. I don't even think he knows.
None whatsoever.
Yeah, like, what's the point of doing these?
About her.
What's the point of killing these people before Lunch if Lunch never even finds out about it?
Yeah, I think Lunch. I was gonna say something. Never mind. Go on. Go ahead.
Please.
No, not gonna say it. Move on.
Give me a hint.
Not gonna say it. Move on.
Was it problematic?
No. Yes, it was problematic.
In what way?
In a very general way.
Okay. You go ahead. I'm going to mute my mic and then blow my nose.
So Lunch goes to Mary's house and he passes Annihilator on his way up. He doesn't see her. And then, doesn't see him. And then there's a kind of a funny gag of a dude standing in front of a soda machine. And as Sergeant Lunch was passing him, he bumps him into the machine. And he's like, what the hell? And he turns around. And then as Feast is passing him, throws him into the soda machine. He's like, what the fuck? It's obviously their friend. Yeah. He just wanted to be in that scene. It was just a funny gag. Like, these small little gags are
That was funny.
It kind of like rescues the movie for me. Sorry, I just want to say that he rescues the movie for me.
I realized I was completely wrong a few moments ago when they said he never finds out she died. He does find out she died because he goes to the apartment and he finds these notes that she wrote in blood, I think, like as she was dying. I completely just forgot about that until right now. That's when Lunch walks into the woman's apartment and finds all the blood. That's when we see another surfing flashback, and Feast is not present in that scene. What is with these fucking surfing flashbacks? What does it signify? What does it mean?
You know, like when we were talking to Gary Cohen, and director of Video Violence, and he said that the catalyst for the movie was this piece of footage that he found randomly on the bottom of a box of film.
Yeah,
I wonder if that's what this was for David Palomero.
Maybe it's actually David Silfing. It's like, well, I mean, I'm pretty good at this, so I want to show people my skills.
You know, we were kind of hesitant to ask David Palomero to come on to interview him until after we saw the movie, in case we absolutely hated it. But now that we both kind of dug it, I'd really like to have him on and talk to him about it.
Yeah, we're not going to remember any of these questions, though. Sadly.
I think we'll remember the surf explosions.
Yeah. Okay. Now, is this when we get
But
the so he finds this letter that she wrote in blood, and it's basically like, this is who did it, evil twin, and this is his address. Ugh! And she's dying.
Yeah. Okay, so this seems silly, but they actually seed it earlier in the movie when she's like, I was gonna find some information out about him tonight. So she kind of has his address. So it could be, and I know it's still extremely silly, but I wanted to give credit where credit's due for the writing. They do seed it a little bit earlier in the movie.
Yeah, no one could ever say this movie is badly written. So what happens next?
So then Annihilator jacks a Jeep from some dude, and then for some reason Lunch is there, but he's on a skateboard.
I love
And
it.
it's a pretty cool skateboard stunts.
Yeah.
And like where he's like chasing him, Annihilator is chasing him, and Lunch is just in front of him. And then they start shooting at each other. And then like they do this scene where like the Jeep comes up to close to a platform that's high up, and Lunch goes up the platform and then jumps on top of the
Jeep.
On top of the Jeep. I love this. This is just
It's great.
two friends fucking, or your couple friends fucking around in a parking lot saying, what can we do for an action sequence? And you know that these idiots are doing these stunts themselves.
Yeah. And like,
They could get hurt. They could get run over by a car.
They don't have anyone on the crew waiting like to help them if they break an element or something. And they'll probably high. Well, maybe not if they'll like active duty, probably get tested, but it's really fun to watch. I really enjoyed this scene. I even like stopped thinking about the fact, like, how does Lunch have a gun? Didn't he just give up his gun in the last scene he was in and his badge? Doesn't matter. Who gives a shit?
Yeah. Or yeah, it was just a scene they shot, which is great. I loved it. This is so charming. Like this is what was missing from like Blood Lake and stuff like that, or even like Video Violence 2 with all those different like stories within it. Like this was fun. This felt like a lot of fun. I would have loved to be there shooting with them, you know.
It makes you want to make one. If
For
only all of our friends didn't decide to have kids and ruin any fun we could ever have together again.
Ruined our lives.
Yeah, I mean,
and theirs.
Yeah, everything's gone downhill since they've had children, I think. It used to be much more fun.
100%. Fuck them.
Never have kids. If you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking about having kids, don't do it because it will upset your friends greatly.
David Palomero, do not have kids.
Don't do it, man. So the Annihilator, he slams on the brakes, right? Is that who's driving the Jeep, or is Lunch driving the Jeep? Okay.
Well, so at one point, go ahead.
He slams the brakes and Lunch gets like sent off the roof of the Jeep onto the ground. The Annihilator gets out of the Jeep. He's looking around trying to find him. But then suddenly Lunch is inside the Jeep and he slams on the gas and just hits him and sends the Annihilator like across the parking lot. And suddenly his body is like hanging loosely on this guardrail.
Right.
I was confused for a second because that seems like the type of body disappearance thing the Annihilator would have done, not just a human. So that's why I was puzzled for a moment trying to recollect who was driving what.
Yeah. But so then the Annihilator is hunched over that railing. There was a witness. The witness went to check him out. And then we see Lunch hits and runs and he leaves, and then all of a sudden in a frame we see the Annihilator following him, which is kind of a cool shot. And then they pan back to where he was just doubled over the railing, and now the witness is there again.
Yeah.
Pretty cool shot. I like it.
I like the badgering the witness was giving Lunch too, like, oh, I saw you do it. And the quote I have was, that was kind of hellish. Like, he's like just giving
Yeah.
him shit for hitting somebody like that. And I thought that was pretty funny. And
So
I also have the body swap gag in my notes,
Yeah.
which was great.
So the detective, I'm sorry, Sergeant Lunch, it's right in the name of the title. Sergeant Lunch goes to that address that Mary gave him, and he finds Feast there reading a magazine. Did you happen to catch the title of the magazine?
No.
Anal Jam Magazine.
Now, when we say
Love it.
anal jam, are we talking about something that's being jammed into an anus? Or are we talking about something from an anus that's being used as a jam?
Yeah, that's what they used. That's what he put on the hot dog earlier in the movie.
That's what I'm going. That's what I'm going to. Yeah, maybe they had Cheese Whiz and Anal Jam, which sounds like a great name of
knows
a
it?
band, right? Because Jam also has like, yo, you want to come jam with us? Be a good band
Isn't it
name.
Pro Jam? I think Pro Jam was going for that first, but they're like, nah. Would you? We're gonna go as Anal Jam, but we're gonna do Pro Jam.
This is every Pearl Jam song.
I don't get that joke because I don't listen to Pro Jam, but I'm sure that
you
David
get the joke.
Palomero.
Shut up. You understand what I'm saying. You understand the
I
joke
have
perfectly.
melanin in my skin. I don't understand that joke. But then he goes up and he sees Feast there, and Feast says this great quote from The Princess Bride. He says, "So it is down to you, and it is down to me."
Yeah.
Love that quote. But then they do a shot of the twins standing next to each other, and I thought, man, how the fuck did they do that? Are these guys actually twins? This is a shot on video movie. How the fuck did they do that?
Mm-hmm. But you saw what they said, right? In the making
I didn't
of.
quite understand it. I didn't understand it. If you can explain it.
Not well. I mean, what they did was they filmed it twice with him in each position, and he would say the lines of each kill tool, and then like the director would say the other kill tool's lines off stage, so it would match with the timing. And then somehow he used both tapes and spliced them together, but I don't know enough about the technology side of this to like explain it too well. But it sounded like a pretty creative look around to make it happen.
Yeah, but I think they did a great job of it. I mean, obviously they never interact with each other, but for low budget shot with no budget shot on video film, I think they did a pretty good job with it. I think it was technically proficient, and I think, yeah, I was pretty impressed by it.
Yeah. Then the showdown basically happens with the twins and the robot. I don't really have any notes because I don't know. I don't know if I was just like pretty sleepy. I was watching this like after midnight. Well, what was going on? Like, do you have many notes about what happens in this fight?
They tussle a little bit. Annihilator shows up, and then they do the whole, no, he's the bad guy. No, he's the bad guy. Kill him, that sort of thing. You see sitcoms and shit like that. And he ends up picking the wrong one. He picks Feast, and he starts killing Feast. And then Feast is like, oh, there's a self-destruct mode sort of thing. And so he does that, but he kills Feast first, and then Annihilator kind of goes into these crazy spasms, and Lunch sorry if you heard my stomach grumble, let me say it again. So then Lunch takes that opportunity to get the fuck out of there, and then right before he blows up, Annihilator says fuck, and he blows up. And there was this one last gag involving the pork pie hat, which I thought was fun. He was Lunch was coming out of the place where they were just fighting, coming down the ladder, and then he whistles, and then they throw down his hat for him, his pork pie hat, which again, Naked Lunch shit. Always like, I think they nailed it on the head when it came to like the Naked Lunch humor, you know.
Yeah.
That was fun.
And then they go, I believe, to the precinct, and everyone loves him again, and they give him what I can only describe as a Bilgle King crown. I don't know if they still do those, but like I remember when I was a kid, if you went into BK, they had those like Kill Build crowns you could fold together and just take home, and that's what I think it is.
Yeah, exactly what it is. But they don't call it the Burger King crown. They call it something else, but it's obviously Burger King crown.
Yeah,
And
I
they
don't
still
know.
do give them away.
I don't even know what they call it. Have you seen one recently?
Within the last maybe 5 years, I remember being on a road trip and Burger King being the only option.
Yeah.
And so when you go to Burger King, you got to get the crown.
I'm a fan of Bilgle King. I like it. I think they have the best fries in fast food. Well, maybe not all of it, but like the standard fast food places, pretty good fries.
Man, my stomach's grumbling just thinking about it. Let's move on.
I'm pretty hungry. I haven't eaten anything today yet.
Yeah.
I woke up, showered, and came over here, and this has been my day so far.
I appreciate you showering.
Well, to be honest, I had to. I smelled. I had it wasn't good. That's the movie, right? Oh, he walks out of the precinct and someone's like, "What are you gonna do now?" And he goes, "I'm gonna strut." And then he just comically struts away from the station, and that's the end of the movie.
Yeah, the interview was really weird. Like,
oh yeah,
what about the toes in the ear dick in the bathroom when you kill? I don't know, some shit weird, like just really weird shit. At the precinct, I just wanted to mention that they're now back on his side. So they were on his side. He was a hero. He can't catch one criminal, and they all like toss him aside. And then now that he's caught the criminal, killed him. Now they're back on his side. So that was funny. Yeah, he's interviewed, has a weird interview, and then he does the strutting, which is funny. I wonder if that was. I wonder if they shot this in sequence, and if that was the last shot, and he was just joking around. I don't know, but it feels really light, really like just a bunch of friends shooting a movie together. Kind of enjoyed that.
yeah. I bet you none of those friends had kids yet when they made this movie.
Yes.
We can joke about this because we know those friends will not be listening to this episode.
100% because of the goddamn kids.
Exactly.
Let's name the kids.
Homel.
No, let's not.
All
right, so that's the end of the movie.
That's it. I would recommend it. I would say if you're in the mood for like a campy little movie about some friends fucking around making a movie, you should check out Surgeon Lunch. You can buy it from Vinegar Syndrome. Check it out.
Yeah, I think it's a definite recommend for me as well. It's just, this is like the spirit of shot on video movie making, you know? While it's not a horror movie, you know, Bloodfeast is maybe a bit deceiving, but it's just a fun movie. Mm-hmm. And if you dig like that kind of horror that we're talking about, not that kind of humor that we're talking about, like the Naked Gun humor, you're gonna really enjoy this. It's just mid-90s camp, low budget, shot on video fun. And like I said, I'd recommend it to anybody.
I don't think many people have seen it actually, because like I think I was the 15th review on Letterboxd when I logged this last night. So I don't think it's been scheduled much yet, but of some of the movies I've seen from Vinegar Syndrome, I mean, there's been some trashy movies released by them. This is like in the, I mean, it's not the greatest movie, but it's a fun one. It would be real deal money to buy on like a Black Friday sale.
Yeah. And or start a podcast and people send shit to you for free. And I will shill for anybody who wants to do that. But I just looked it up real quick in trivia on IMDb, and it says that it was shot for $600.
What do you think that money went to?
I don't know where that money
Donuts.
went. The custom made police donuts, the police car donuts or something.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it was fun though. I definitely recommend it for you guys to watch. And thank you to Dave Palomero for sending us the copies, and I would love to have him on to interview him.
Tell you one thing, with a budget that low, those guns will definitely real guns they just took from the fucking billets. That was not
Oh,
responsible.
he definitely chopped that guy's arm off too.
Yeah, he's dead now. LIP. What do you have to recommend? I mean, what do you have to promote?
Oh, so yeah, so I host My Horror Confessional, which is on the Ghoulish Podcast Network. And every week I have somebody come on and talk about a classic horror movie that they haven't seen. They'll watch it for the movie, and then we discuss it. This last week, it just had John Skip on, the New York Times bestselling author. We did Gozu, Takashi Miike's Gozu, which is a batshit crazy fucking movie. And then this coming up week, I'm interviewing Daniel Kraus, who wrote obviously The Shape of Water and his new book Whalefall, and we're talking about Eyes of a Stranger. New episodes come out every Friday. You can find me on Instagram at My Horror Confessional, at Twitter at MHCPod, and my email address is myhorrorconfessional@gmail.com.
Yeah, and you can promote this. You can support this podcast by going to patreon.com/Decayed Tapes. If you want to watch the video versions of every episode, we have the videos on Patreon. Maybe someday we'll be putting some on YouTube just to see if we can get some people to check us out, but not planned anytime soon. We also try to have the episodes a few days early on Patreon. Not always successful with the case of Blood Lake, which I still need to edit, but by the time you listen to this episode, Blood Lake will be out, and I will have finally stopped thinking about that terrible movie. Also to promote, I don't know, through Ghoulish Books, we have, hopefully, if my timing is correct, just released, or at least just announced, that we'll reprinting Betty Rocksteady's collection, In Dreams We Rot. So we will be putting that out through Ghoulish Books. It came out through a different press a while ago, but then went out of print, so we'll bringing it back, a new edition. I wrote an intro for it. Betty added a new short story, so like if you already bought the previous edition, there's some neat bonuses in this new one to check out. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you for tuning in to Bloodfeast. Miguel, did you have any final things you wanted to say?
No, thanks for listening. We appreciate you guys, and definitely give this one a shot.
Live spooky, die spooky.